Right, well, back by popular demand, episode 3. Welcome to the Nause off.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Short. What weekend? I would go with possibly one of the best weekends for Six Nations rugby for 2 of the games. We'll come on to those a bit later, but going to launch straight into it. Ireland, France.
What a game.
Unbelievable, Jeff.
I think that's what we all wanted. We all wanted the competition to kick off. We all knew that France versus Ireland was going to be the big one, many describing it as the Grand Slam decider. It was a shame to some degree that it was the early kick-off on the Saturday, and it was a shame to some degree that it was so early
It was
on.
week 2. I think,
Yeah.
do you know what, had it come down to the wire of St Patrick's Day in Ireland, France-Ireland, closing game of the Six Nations, that's what everyone wants.
The hype would have been huge.
Yeah,
the
as a
hype
sports
would have
fan,
been
that's what you want.
huge. That being said, the rugby itself, what a game.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious they are number 1 and 2 in the world, and there's a clear reason why. I think the French, you can't make allowances that they've got injuries. They've got a great side, and I think they were better discipline-wise than they were the week before against Italy. But
definitely.
How good and how clinical are Ireland? They are
So good. But it was a great game, wasn't it? I mean, we knew what Ireland would bring in terms of how disciplined they are, kind of counteracting what you were saying in terms of how kind of unbalanced France can be. But Ireland is so well drilled, especially under Farrell now. He's kind of brought even more to that kind of system.
I think they're one of those teams, and a lot of the other rugby podcasts have said it, they're one of those teams, if you give them access to your 22, I would love to see what their percentage conversion rate is of coming away with points, whether it be tries.
It's a bit like the extra of kind of 2-3 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, you let them in there, they're probably going to score 3 to 5 points, and there's not a huge amount you can do about it. They will, I was going to say bore you to death, but it's not boring.
It's not boring.
No.
It is, as a rugby purist, we enjoy watching it.
Yeah.
At no point watching that Ireland-France game was I bored. It's not boring.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
they
exciting
win,
rugby.
and they win in an exciting way. And speaking of exciting rugby, the real bit that stands out for me, and Ireland as a whole was an amazing performance, but the real standout for me, that James Lowe finish, and there's always going to be a debate, try or no try. Forget try or no try, to get himself into that position from a standing start and to be able to finish like that under pressure.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal. I mean, the whole weekend we saw some good finishes. That was a brilliant try. I'm sure we'll talk about it in a minute, but the Penaud try, it was a great game. It was a great way to kick off that weekend.
Yeah, Penaud try was great, the starter and finishing. A very rare lapse in Irish defence. I think fair play to France for being able to...
I think of all the teams in the Six Nations, France are probably the only team that will get Ireland on the back foot like that. I can't see anyone else, maybe Scotland.
Well, see, that's the thing, I was going to lead us quite nicely into the next one. I was going to argue this. Maybe Scotland. For the first time ever, first time in a very long time, actually it might be the first time since the Six Nations started, they've opened up with 2 wins in a row.
Well, I was going to say, last weekend we were kind of saying brilliant performance against England, which it was, but we've seen it so many times where they don't back it up the week after. We said the same about Italy, and again we move on to the Italy performance and not backing it up, but Scotland did back it up this week in a great way. I thought they played some fantastic rugby. I know Wales are weak at the moment. They
don't take it away from Scotland,
no,
I think, on this.
I agree.
For the first time in a very long time, they are... I think lots of people said it, the way they reacted to the England win, it was business as usual. Was it actually a surprise to them? I don't think so.
No.
And then to be able to turn around and back it up with that, the way they played against Wales this weekend, yes, okay, there are concessions in that Wales are playing really poorly, and we'll come back onto that in a second, but I think you've got a number of big names now. You've got Finn Russell pulling the strings like he has, and we'll come on to him again later, but you've got Russell, you've got Ferguson, Jamie Ritchie leading the way he does, Hugh Jones at the
Van der Merwe. I mean, even someone like Hogg, who is a big name to the kind of fans, the kind of Six Nations fans. I don't think he's done much for Six Nations.
The difference is they're not relying on him anymore. You go back to the Scotland of old 3, 4, 5 years ago.
They needed him to pull things out of the hat.
Can Hogg pull out some magic to turn around and pull a game back? Whereas he doesn't need to do it anymore. Yes, he's probably still playing brilliantly. Realistically, he's not making mistakes. But you've now got the likes of Russell, Jones, Ritchie.
But they just have a
Ferguson.
foundation now, don't they? Which they've not had in years. The pack has seemed to have evolved. They've got some really good players in that now, whereas their pack used to be somewhat of a weakness. They've always had weaknesses, actually, to be fair, throughout the pitch, whereas now it just seems like a cohesive unit that are playing well together. And when you've got a maverick at 10 like Finn Russell, anything's possible. Some of those tries they scored. No other Six Nations team.
I mean, the next job for them is they're rolling into Paris, aren't they? And you've got the French coming off the back of let's be honest, a bit of a battering in Ireland, physically and on the scoreboard, against a Scotland team that have their tails up. And actually, traditionally, even when not playing well, they've always troubled France.
Yeah, they do.
They've always troubled them, so that's going to be... I'm really excited for that game, and I'm a bit gutted I've got to wait 2 weeks
Now that France have lost, you almost want Scotland to win it, just so that the tournament itself goes on a bit longer with the anticipation of the Grand Slam.
Yeah, and I think, because it's Scotland, Ireland, the second to last week, isn't it? Would be, again... How good would it have been if Scotland had gone unbeaten and Ireland had gone unbeaten? It ended up being a potential Grand Slam showdown at the end of the tournament there. That would have been great. Conversely, on the other side of the foot, Wales. It's very hard to find anything good to talk about. I think I jinxed Rio Dyer at the end of our chat last week. I said he was the one bright spark. The poor guy couldn't catch a cold.
No.
Didn't help. He wasn't really given great ball. But they were poor.
They were poor. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they get on against England. We know that they normally raise their game against England. England didn't look particularly fantastic on Sunday, but it'll be interesting. I think he's done the right thing in terms of blooding the new back row, but there's still a lot of work to be done there. Yeah,
there is a lot of work to be done. I think blooding the new back row is good, but I hated seeing the way they were with each other. Dan Biggar, every time he threw a pass or anything went wrong, he's there shouting at people, blaming other people. There was just very little positive rugby. And everyone says it that winning is a habit, losing is a habit as well, and they've got themselves into a bit of a hole, and it's how they fight their way out.
Do you think they have the players to fight them?
No, I really don't think they do. They're still backing the old guard, and I think...
Not fully though. They have
fully, but we said this before. There's such a gap between the old guard and the new guard that there's nothing in between. And I worry about that. I would be going to. Gatland's known for going to tried and tested. At this point, and we talked about it when we very first spoke about was Nick Tompkins. You put someone like Nick Tompkins in the centre alongside Hawkins. I think you've got a really good centre partnership that takes some pressure off Biggar. Stops him having to play the miracle ball, trying to be Finn Russell, which he's not Finn Russell. Yeah. It takes some pressure off them, and then you can set free very electric back three. I think there is a chance for them to pick up.
And in all the games that they will pick it up, they'll pick it up on the 25th of March.
Well, and let's move on to that now. Let's move on to England-Italy. Was my least favourite game of the weekend.
Yeah, I think given how good that first game was, it was like a steady decline throughout the weekend. I think Scotland-Wales did have some intensity, but that game on Sunday, England-Italy...
I'm conflicted. I'm really conflicted because as an England fan, I want to see us win. But there's a part of me that would like to see us try and play some expansive, exciting rugby, play positive rugby. And then if we lose by 2 or 3 points doing that, do you know what? If we played a really good game, I'd be gutted we lost, but I probably won't be disappointed. We played negative rugby.
I don't know. There's been a lot of negativity around the England performance. I think the first half, we actually played quite well. And I know people will say it's Italy, but our defence and our pack were very good.
No, I'll give you defence and pack.
If we're building from the pack back, then that will fundamentally give us a platform to play more expansive rugby once we start getting used to the systems. This is only Borthwick's second game in charge.
It is, but look, I think defence will give you. We stepped up in defence, and there were periods of
Willis
play
was unreal.
Yeah, we'll come on to him in a bit. He was, what a return to international rugby. Welcome back, Jack Willis. But there were periods of plays. There was a phase of play right after the Italy captain took a dead leg. We pushed them back 30 metres in defence before they then kicked the ball away, and that's the intensity that Sakev would have been looking for. That was a really good response to the Scotland game. But we kicked so much ball away, and I think it would be really easy for me to sit here and chew into the likes of Ollie Hassel-Collins.
Well, Hassel-Collins, you can't give too much grief because he didn't get any ball.
We didn't spread the ball at all.
Yeah, I don't think you can give him per se too much criticism. He didn't have any work to do. I know we had a chat off air with regards to Owen Farrell's kicking. Do you want to talk me through that? Because personally, I didn't like the fact that he's kicking, but I don't think that's coming from Faz himself.
No, I think that, no. Well,
it's not like he does that week in, week out for
no,
Saracens.
it's not, but I'd like to think that as the captain and as the playmaker, he does have a hand in the tactics that we are going to go out and play. And evidently, there's...
But is that something that we picked out against Italy specifically?
But if we picked it out and we've tried to do it how many times? Why have we
4 or 5 times?
Why have we continued?
Didn't work.
At no point did it work. And I'd argue all we did was bring Andy Nicol into the game, he was the only player on the pitch that looked dangerous at all times.
Yeah.
Both teams. Every time he got the ball, there was a genuine excitement that he's going to do something. And he made numerous line breaks. He had made the most meters in the game by a long way. And I think we probably played to his strength.
Do you think that Ollie Lawrence coming in, having a fantastic game, is that style of play England are probably now looking to play? Is that kind of a Warren Gatland style from 3-4 years ago?
It is, and it's it's a hybrid between Warren Gatland and what we wanted Manu to do. What I would like to see, because I'm not against us playing like that. You need that dynamic point in the middle, that heavy ball carrier to win the gain line and then play. Problem is we won the gain line and didn't play.
Yeah.
And he probably would have been my star player of the weekend if it weren't for his butterfingers. I mean, that was an unbelievable carry. Tommy Allen, good hard look at yourself, please.
Eyes to thighs, cheek to cheek, come on, that's what we get.
Yeah, but not that I'd be going, your man, absolutely. Thank you very much, off you go. But a good covering tackle, but he should have finished that. But he was good. He was one of England's...
He was very good.
He was England's bright spark. He was good to have him in the side. Him, Jack Willis.
But he also, as a Bath fan, we've actually seen that all season. He's been really good, and that's why it was so mind-boggling that Eddie Jones just decided, look, I'm not going to give you a chance. Which, fair enough, he came in for the few caps he did get before Borthwick's era and didn't really do anything, that's fine. But he's progressed so much more since then. So.
Yeah. Do you know what? Yeah, he was brilliant. I thought Ollie Chesson was really good.
He was very good.
The other person who I'm really excited to see more of is and it's an easy one to go to, with Henry Arundel. That's a great finish. The guy is... Again, he's an Ange Capuzzo type that when he gets the ball, you're excited. Something's going to happen. He's been doing it in the Premiership. He did it down in Australia on tour for England on his first caps. He will be really interesting to see how he goes, because it would not surprise me if he gets the nod to start the next game.
I think he probably will, ahead of Ollie Hassel-Collins.
Which is, again, I feel like I want to, and this is going to lead you into some easy banter. This is coming from a fellow winger. If you're not getting the ball on the edge, go look for work. Go and try and get hands. He's a big bloke. Go and carry. Go and run off 10. Go run off 9.
So just for context, guys, Jack is the self-proclaimed best winger in Hearts and Middlesex. Not Hearts and Middlesex.
You've dropped me 6 leagues.
That's me. Nat 1. So he is Mr. Knowledgeable about the wingers.
Just for context, Will is the self-proclaimed best drinker in Hearts and Middlesex. What, 9?
Yeah.
But no, I think the Hassel-Collins conundrum leads me into the next section. Fantasy team. I got very excited on...
yeah, you did get excited, actually. I think you texted me just after the first game. What did you say?
I texted you saying it's my week and you owe me beers, and then it all went downhill.
So again, just for context, the Six Nations Fantasy, we have a pint riding on each round. I obviously won the first round. Jack got a bit chopsy after one game this week.
Yep.
Semi-abuse.
Then Will pulled it out of the bag. Well, I say pulled it out of the bag. It was carried by Finn Russell. He fluked himself putting Russell as captain.
I'm pretty sure it's a game on making right decisions. So picking Finn Russell against a poor, as we both know, Wales.
Yeah, it was sensible. I captained, again, turncoat as I am, I captained Farrell. Against Italy, and as ever, Farrell kicked the ball away. You watch, I will drop Farrell next round, and he'll end up getting a ridiculous amount of points against Wales.
That's fine by me. That's fine by me.
I think the thing that stitched me up, I picked Ollie Hassel-Collins. I backed him to have a good game against Italy, to go looking for work and play like he has for London Irish, and unfortunately he didn't. So I got very few points.
To be fair, that's unlucky. I went Max Malins, but I thought
he didn't have a bad game, but I think the ball was kicked to him a fair bit.
Yeah.
And he
could have had that try.
Well, the try he gave to Van Portfleet, I think, was very unlucky. I don't think there's anything in that with Lawrence's. Lawrence is just running along. He's accidentally tripped him. I don't think there's anything malicious.
Yeah.
But then if
you were a defender, you probably would have been slightly annoyed.
But then you would argue that Italy's Italy's first try in the second half was exactly the same.
Yeah.
But we didn't go back to it. But. Yeah, so on Fantasy League, you are up to second in our league.
I'm up to second in the league, and you owe me 2 pints.
Yeah, double or quits for the next round.
You've gone double or quits for the next round. Interesting. So you could be 6 pints deep in 2 weeks' time.
That could be. This could be interesting. Okay, player of the week for you.
Player of the week, there's 4 we've got in contention, but I've gone Finn Russell.
Okay.
Just a joy to watch, to be honest, this week, and especially given he was my captain. Yeah. Every time he did the flick at the back, every time he crossfield kicked, any time he did anything, it was good to watch. Yeah,
I don't think you can look much further, can you? I love the way he is around the team. He doesn't conform to what everyone wants from him. He's just himself, and I think it's really good to see. And I think the things I think Gregor Townsend has finally realised, that you just have to embrace it and let that happen. And then you get the best out of Finn, which is what we're seeing now, and he's chopping away at opponents. Got the confidence to throw those different passes, kick the ball the way he is.
Yeah.
He's playing flat to the game line and playing really, really well. And it's what I'd like to. When I say flat, I'd like to see Farrell play with that confidence. Farrell is not a natural flair player like Finn Russell, but I'd like to see him play with that sort of confidence, with that positivity in mind.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Nah, not much. I think there's definitely other honourable mentions. I know I've given England a really hard time, but I think we've already mentioned them. Willis and Lawrence both first times into the side with Borthwick, and definitely stamped their names on those shirts. I'd have liked to have seen Willis get a bit longer. I'm sure that was probably already in the plan that he was only going to get 60 odd minutes, 50 odd minutes, but I'd have liked to see him get a bit longer. He's going to be instrumental against the likes of Wales and France and Ireland now that we've got I'd argue we've got our hardest 3 games coming up.
With regards to England changes, would you like to see Smith be given more minutes at 10 with Ollie Lawrence next to him?
This is really hard, because I've said this from the beginning that I wanted to see Smith starting. I think if you're going to play the way we are with Smith coming on later, you have to give him more than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
He needs 5-10 minutes to get into the game and then affect. So if I had my way, and what I'd have done is Italy, let's be, and I know this sounds really bad, it sounds like we're taking away from the Italians. The game was won at half time. I would have liked to have seen Farrell come out, get the momentum going in the second half, and then I'd have seen Smith at 10. The problem is, and I think what unfortunately England will do, and especially without Courtney around, is they'll push Faz to 12 at that point.
Mm.
And we've agreed, and I think the vast majority of the rugby population have agreed, the Smith-Farrell 10 access doesn't work.
Yeah.
So at that point, you're risking it in a game where you're going to take your captain and lead it off and play Smith. If you're going to do that in any game, it's the Italy game.
Yeah.
I can't see Gatland doing that in any of the rest of the games, so I think Smith, unfortunately, is going to get very limited minutes for the rest of this tournament. I think you cannot take Ollie Lawrence away from 12 now. Mm. He was outstanding. He was really, really good. What we now need to do is build on that and look at how we pull in different areas from there.
Agreed.
Ringrose is the other one we've got on our list.
Good game.
Yeah, really good game. I think, look, you got the try at the end, but unsung hero. How much work did he get through?
To be honest, the whole unsung hero could be said about that whole Irish team.
Yeah.
The amount of work the back row does, Doris, Van der Flyer, Hugo Keenan at fullback, they've just got so many good players around that pitch. Such a good team, but yeah, Ringrose, outstanding.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, on the flip side, we'll go back to our section we brought in last week, our clown of the week.
Can we get ladies first?
Ladies first. Okay, I've got 2, and this is going to sound like I'm very anti-Welsh, but the big thing for me is I really don't like the way that they are. It's hard when you're losing in a losing streak, but I really don't like the way they're getting at each other in a game. I think it's just digging the hole even deeper. Mm. And unfortunately, the lead person I see doing that is Dan Biggar. Every time there's a mistake, it's someone else's fault. He's shouting at someone else. He's one of the most experienced players in that team. He is a leader in that team. He should be lifting people, geeing people, just moving them on. At this point, there is no pressure. You are, the entire rugby world has written you off, so there should be no pressure. So what I'd like to see from him is just a bit more positivity. I don't think, especially young lads who are trying to break into the international scene, that's not the way to do it. For you?
I've got 2. So first and foremost, I want to go a bit off-piste.
You're not going me again, are you?
No, a bigger clown than you actually. Yes, I said I'm going to go a bit off piste this week. I know we're talking rugby and this is a rugby one, but it's the Atlas Group. The whole Worcester debacle.
Jim OU complete tool.
Yeah, it's a disgrace. So they have taken over Worcester. They were meant to be the saviours, but they are complete cowboys. They want to change the name of Worcester to avoid paying ex-staff, ex-colleagues, ex-players. And they want to rebrand and move to Stourbridge, which just won't sit well with anyone.
Surely that doesn't sit well with Stourbridge.
I don't think it's going to. It's not going to go ahead. But
I mean, given Stourbridge have not had a good season, but if you've got a club with a bit of history that have got their way up through the leagues, why?
It's not going to work. But the fact that they even proposed it and thought that it might be pushed through, clowns. And second clowns of the week. Back to Six Nations, I'm going to go TMO for the Ireland game.
What? Okay.
A game of this magnitude, he's in touch.
What, James Lowe?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what, really interestingly, and I think what they've made a mess of is the angle that shows he's in touch shows after they confirm they give the try.
Yeah, exactly.
The reverse angle.
Yeah.
The others, it's debatable. It really is debatable.
Of course. But then
the reverse angle is clearly in touch, and though his reaction to it says everything. Yes, it's split second.
He knew.
Yeah, he knew.
And then again,
you get the rub of the green. You get the bounce of the ball.
Exactly. But then to counteract that as well, France definitely got away with a red. We haven't talked about it, but the Antonio tackle, that's a red. Any day of the week, isn't it?
Yeah, especially with all the stuff that's going on around the
I couldn't
laws.
actually believe that it wasn't given. He stood up. He's not even made any attempt to drop.
He's not dropped. He's actually rising.
Yeah.
And it is.
And he's smashed him.
I mean, the closest he's got to is a graze of the shirt at the shoulder, isn't it? It is straight to head. Yeah, he's got away with.
And he's since been cited.
Yes, exactly.
So,
He'll get the ban. He'll get the ban.
Well, he's got it.
I think it'd be really. Do you know what? It would have been really interesting if we were sitting here discussing this had France gone on to win that game. I think had France gone on to win that game.
Well, France gone on to win that game, but Ireland was obviously given that try. So,
yeah,
do you think they balance each other out?
I think they.
No, they don't.
No,
but
I think the fact that Ireland won the game, it makes it slightly less relevant. If France had ended up winning the game by, let's say, 2 or 3 points, and Antonio got away with that yellow, I think everyone would be up in arms about it. Because the game probably had, and let's be honest, probably the right result, as much as I've backed France.
Yeah.
Because it had the right result, actually it's ended up being okay. So, yeah, I'll give you that TMO France-Ireland game with the potential to ruin the game of the tournament. Yeah. Clown.
That leads me onto the news section of this podcast. Incredibly, we have actually been sent in some questions by some fans. Yeah, we've got fans, all 2 of them. Actually, no, 4 of them. We've got 4 or 5 questions. The first one, so this is a Q&A, and obviously in the weeks moving forward, by all means, send more questions in. We've got a question from Infinity Sports ambassador Andy Nicol. So here you go.
Hi, I'm Andy Nicol. Here's your nose-off question for the day. Your team is 2 points down. It's the last play of the game. The clock is red. Your team has won a penalty on the intersection between the 10-yard line and the 15-yard line on the left-hand side of the pitch. Which player from any country who has played in the Six Nations, so back to 2000, do you want to be taking that penalty for you, and why?
That is a hell of a question.
Hell of a question. What a start to the Nause question and answer session.
Do you know, I'm going to go to you first because I have gone full-blown Nause on this. So who are you picking?
I think there's only one man for the job.
Go on.
And I'd be surprised if we didn't have the same name.
Go on.
Picture the scene. The roof is on.
Oh, no.
The roof is on.
No.
The legs are tanned.
No.
The silver mercurials are on. He's gradually creeping up to the ball and he's whacked it.
No, I can't have it. I'm not having it.
Sir Gavin Henson. You're going
Sir,
against.
you are knighted Gavin
You're going
Henson.
against Sir Gavin Henson.
You didn't even need, you know what, you didn't even need the floodlights in the stadium. There was so much of a glow off his fake tan in that you didn't need it. No,
So Wennett, you don't agree?
No, utterly disagree.
Oh.
I went 2 ways in this. I fully nosed out and I went and looked at kicking percentages. And if you're going to go international kicking percentages, there's only one name and it's Neil Jenkins. But I can't bring myself
Getting the sound out.
I can't bring myself to have a Welsh kicker. I'm going to go the classic, which everyone else would have gone, the tried and tested.
Gavin Henson.
Johnny Wilkinson.
Johnny Wilkinson.
From that far out, left-footed. The only thing is left-footed off the left, but I'm still going Johnny Wilkinson. You're talking big game players, and I've got a stat for you. Johnny Wilkinson's win percentage when he was playing for England is 73%. Big game player wins those games. What do you think Gavin Henson's is?
76.
56.
Oh,
Pretty poor. Given he didn't play that, and actually that makes it even worse. He didn't play that many times for Wales, so
fine.
we're very
Lee
much
Halfpenny.
No, we're going to agree to disagree here. I think
No. I mean, I'm perfectly happy to side with you on Johnny Wilkinson.
no Henson. Excellent. That's an agreement. No
Fine.
Henson. Right, I'm going to give you our next question. Next question is from the Badger, who I believe.
Oh, the Badger. He's a die-hard Saracens fan. He says what he doesn't know about Chris Chesney isn't worth knowing.
Exceptional. I like this. Gloves off, full scrappy dappy do, old school Lions-esque. Who are you backing in a fight? Ellis Genge or Cian Healy?
Oh, it's a tough one. I mean, I'm a Bath boy and I know what these Bristolians are like. So I'd like to think Ellis Genge would have him.
I've got visions of snatch and bare knuckle boxing and Cian Healy fitting right into that.
It's a good one, isn't it?
Do you know one thing? There's no way I'm getting in the middle to break it up.
No, it's a no bars hold. Would they have weapons?
I don't think we can go weapons. I don't think they need weapons.
They don't need weapons, so it's just bare knuckle to the death.
To the death.
And the winner gets the Lions captaincy.
Not even first blood, to the death.
No, to the death.
Genji's going to knock him out, slap him and call him a silly sausage before putting him in the recovery position.
Yeah, good shout. I mean, Genji is hard.
Cian Healy's old school hard though. I'm calling this a complete stalemate.
I think it's a stalemate.
They knock each other out at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go down the far more rugby Nause, Mr. Roycroft, James Roycroft. Lewis Ludlam's rise as a 6 that can play 8 has taken everybody by surprise. But England back row seems a bit unbalanced. What makes a better balanced back row? And how can England rebalance their back row to attack their breakdown better? Well, neither of us are back row.
No.
We're both back 3.
Where do we start? Should we pretend we know what we're talking about?
No, I mean, we can pretend as much as you like, but you're not going to see me anywhere near a breakdown.
No.
Do you know?
The obvious name which comes to my mind...
Don't you dare say Binny Villapola.
No, I wasn't. Not everything has to be about Saracens. I was going to say Courtney Lawes.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But I think he's the name which brings back more balance.
But are you playing him in the back row or the second row?
Again, a good
Because
question.
this is an interesting one because I don't think you can drop Chesham or Itoje.
Yeah, exactly. So...
But I don't think you can drop Ludlam or
Yeah, I
Willis.
definitely wouldn't drop
Do you know, really
Ludlam.
interesting, he may answer
But
the
then-
Dombrent question.
Well, I was going to say Ludlam to 8 and then...
Yeah.
Which actually is a great little back row.
True, I'm not sure I'm calling it little.
No.
But I'm
Certainly not to their face.
No. I'm a big Dombrent fan, but let's be honest, he's not performed for the last 2 weeks and I can't continue to back him up. That back row genuinely strikes fear. That is
horrible.
Yeah, a 6 of Courtney Lawes is
Because
just
someone
gonna
like Six, someone like Lawes, you get a bit more carrying from them, you get a bit more physicality.
Line-out option.
Line-out option.
Yeah, nice that I didn't know anything about the forwards.
He definitely brings more dynamic back row for England. Will he be back for that Wales game?
I think he is. I think he was he was almost in
Do you
contention.
think he'll come
weekend,
straight
so.
back in? Well, if he's in contention
I
this
think.
weekend,
Do you know that potentially solves my Smith-Farrell issue. In that, if you've got Courtney on there, you make him captain. Not anything against Genji because obviously I think he's been a great leader, but Lawes has a lot of experience there. I think it solves that Farrell issue, and if you want to bring Smith on at 50, you could because you've then got the leadership of Courtney in there.
Yeah.
But that's a good question.
Yeah.
What you got the next one?
So we've got a question here from Matt Simmons, which I can only assume is the 89 caps for Harlequins and Premiership winner in 2018-19.
Loves rugby.
He loves rugby. I think he should have played longer, do you?
Yeah, definitely.
He had a few more years in him. Anyway, he asks, and it must be him based on the question in hand, if you were 7 metres out from the try line, defending a line-out maul, and you're in the middle of the maul, would you be going for the high and slide through approach on the back seam to split the jump and the lifter, or would you be low, burrowing arms in, and then pop up at the end on the ball? Horses for courses, what are you going with?
Okay, I've got a question for you. Have you ever been involved in a maul?
I don't think I've ever been involved in a maul.
So I've been involved in a line-out, but only in 7, and I'm pretty sure we're not going to mauls from that.
I've not been involved in a maul. I've not been involved in a scrum, and I don't think I've ever been involved in a ruck.
What's a ruck?
Who knows?
Do you know what? This is really hard for me to answer this one.
I would like to think I'd be like a little...
Low and through.
Yeah, just a little badger getting in there, getting my hands in there. I quite like seeing it, you know, pulling people's fingers back, jabbing people.
Not only nausea, you're nasty as well.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I am the get down and out of that as hard as I possibly can. You know, the old inspect and push out the back. I'm not involved in that unless we're guaranteed.
Unfortunately for me, I think probably realistically what I'd be doing is I'd be bringing down a maul, penalty try, conceding.
Yeah. Yellow card.
Yeah.
10 minutes.
10 minutes in the bin.
Yeah, I think that's also me.
Anyway, thank you, Matt, for that question.
Last one, Mr. Paddy Ship. A lot of hype around the Scotland team. Their attack's been fairly placid, bar some Finn Russell magic, and have scored largely through errors against weaker teams. Well, that's going to cause some interest. Weaker teams being England and Wales. Discuss.
I definitely agree with the weaker teams, Wales.
Do you know what? I really want to turn around and say I don't agree with England, but if you look at the way teams have played, and bar Italy's performance against England on Saturday, yeah, he's right in terms of weaker teams. I think we answered this earlier. There is a lot of work being done off the ball and unseen by Scotland at the moment. You've got.
I thought that question was slightly unfair.
You've got McMurva, Doohan, who's been unbelievable. You've got Finn Russell, who's been pulling the strings at 10. I don't think he can pull those strings without the options he's got outside.
Yeah, exactly.
Tuipulotu is dragging so many defenders. Hugh Jones is a genuine threat at all times from 13. Don't write off Van der Merwe because of his ball carrying. And actually, no one talks about him, but Carl Steyn is scoring a lot of tries.
Having a great tournament so far.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's a bit harsh on Scotland. Do you know what? Everyone's second team is, I always say, is Italy, but unless it's against England, I do like seeing Scotland go well, and I would love to see them.
No,
I don't know.
No.
I would love to see them do well in this tournament. I'm not sure we would be able to stand the arrogance afterwards, but I'd love to see them go well.
Nah, no? Not having it.
What are you saying, that they aren't firing shots, or
what?
Are you saying they aren't firing shots, or are you going with you just don't want them?
I just don't want them to do well.
Fair enough.
No one likes England, so.
So what, you're saying no one likes Scotland now?
Exactly.
Fair enough. Right. I'm not going to ask you score predictions. We've got.
I think I'm doing pretty well on the old score predictions.
Hence
as
why
well.
I'm not going to ask you. I'm going to ask you an absolute rogue question. What's your perfect Sunday afternoon with no rugby?
Oh, caught me off guard now. To be fair, based on the last few weekends I've had with the old gout foot, it's very much feet up on the sofa watching football, which I know you obviously hate, but you?
I'm a complete and utter nause. My wife works in rugby, so if I'm not watching men's rugby, I'm off to watch Quinn's women. So
Rugby's rugby.
Rugby's rugby. They've been playing some seriously good stuff, actually. So
talk of which, the duel, Saracens Quins coming up.
You and I again on opposite sides.
Exactly. Pint on the winner.
Oh, not again. No, I can't do this anymore. Right. Another week.